Hello and welcome to a slightly different podcast. I think the technical phrase for this is a webcast. And I'm delighted that with me is Scott Quin. Hi Scott, how are you?
Hi there, Alan. I'm doing not too bad, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. You may not recognise the picture behind me. That's where I spent my misspent youth at Gourock Outdoor Swimming Pool on the River Clyde. Yeah, I think that's the only day in the last 20 years it was sunny, so I'm glad somebody had a camera to take the picture.
It looks a good background.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I've variously changed my background at the moment from Gold Coast to Stanford University to Gourock Swimming Pool, so this is my favourite, obviously, as a local boy. And for those of you who don't know Scott has won medals at all major championships for para-swimming. He's silver medalist at Paralympic Games. He's got a couple of golds bagged at Europeans and a couple of silvers at World Champs. And I'm sure if I've got any of that wrong, he'll correct me in a minute or two. Scott swims at Warrender Baths Club in Edinburgh. He's coached by Kostas Kalutsis. Previously, Scott's been coached by Laurel Bailey and by Chris Gilchrist as he led into the Rio Paralympic Games. So I'm delighted that Scott's with us. We're going to try and get through this without the use of the bleep machine, which for those of you who know Quinny might not be the easiest thing for me to do. But he is one of the cheeriest chappies kicking around the Scottish swimming scene. He's often referred to as the glue that holds everything together, not just at Warrender, but with Scottish swimming and with British para swimming as well. So Scott's an absolute delight to have you with me this afternoon. And I want to first of all start by asking you, what have you been up to during lockdown? Let's just catch up on what Scott Quin's been doing.
Thanks for having me. What I've been doing on lockdown is a lot of land-based training work. Obviously, we can't train in the swimming pool right now, so for us, all swimmers will be now starting to get a bit frustrated that we can't get in the water. So for me, I have been doing my strength conditioning sessions with Neil Shanks and the Stirling Uni Swim team Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and that they've been lasting for about an hour to an hour and a half. Then I do the Tuesday and Thursday Scottish swimming workout with Neil Shanks that leads that, and then also I've kind of fallen in love with going out on my bike and cycling. Started off doing like 20 to 30 kilometers twice a day. Now I'm up to doing between 50 to 70 kilometers a day, so I'm kind of cycling all over Edinburgh, but obviously self-isolating myself, like keeping my distance from everyone. So
you were just anticipating what's going to happen whenever you're allowed to go out for a wee bit longer, is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I was kind of just keeping it on the quiet there, but obviously now we can exercise a wee bit longer now. Been doing that, and then for like the mental having that mental mindset. I've been doing going out for walks every evening with my mum for the last 8 weeks. So that's kind of helped just to like keep you mentally focused and like not over stress about things, and even just open up and talking about things. What maybe is on my mind. It's good to have someone there to listen to.
And I think it'd be fair to say that's pretty similar to what most swimmers, Scottish swimming athletes have been doing. Swimmers, divers, para-swimmers, etc. have been taking things very much in their stride, as you've said there, get the land training done and trying to keep themselves in shape, albeit out of the water. This is a question, a couple of questions really that I've been asking swimmers as I've been catching up with them over the last couple of weeks. Have you been doing anything specific out of the pool that you think is going to make a positive impact once you get back in?
I've probably said the most things that we've been doing a lot of work on to help us to get better, to get us ready to be back in the pool is, I think, keeping our bodies moving, and also we're doing a lot of exercise like last week. I think myself and the Stirling guys, we've done so much push-ups over a course of last week. For us, our muscles were actually fatigued and quite tired. But as well, I think the bonus side of that is we've been doing a lot of like mobility, stretching, releasing stuff, and mobility movement. Obviously, it's not ideal to be what kind of mobility movement we have to engage with when we're in the water, but I think on the contrast of that, we're actually focusing really, really well, just maintaining our flexibility, but also maintaining new strength of different muscles.
Good. And of course, Costas will be keeping tabs on you, making sure that you're checking in with him and keeping him up to date with all those things that you've been doing. Because I know whenever we have these institute chats that he often has to just pull back a wee bit on the reins. Scott Quin is not somebody who's shy of a bit of hard work.
Yeah, of course. Funny enough, I've just got my weekly report of on my smarter base sent to me, and I worked out myself as well. Last week I did 20 sessions of like a land-based workout, either cycling, gym work, or going for walks. And the hours have kind of like ranked up there as well. So I'm waiting to hear when Costas and maybe British Swimming coming back to me saying, right, pull the reins back, as you're saying, Alan, maybe not overdo it, to like need to be a bit sensible.
I'm glad you can't hear the noise, the vibrations behind me. My son running up down the stairs doing his daily workout as well.
Good lad.
Over Scotland are using whatever they can within their houses or their flats or their gardens to get some working out done. So I think it's been fantastic. You guys have done a fantastic job. Your commitment to your goals and your aspirations is probably what we would expect, but just the fact that you've got stuck into it. And I think you're right. I think probably somebody will be tapping on your shoulder electronically to say, just hold on a wee minute, Scott. There's no need to be doing this quite as much as that. We'll see.
Of course. And obviously, I think it's been good for us as athletes, because obviously the Scottish Swimming side and like kind of the support staff we have in like S&C, I would probably say like Scottish Swimming have really been proactive from the get-go of like how to maintain us athletes to get into this new routine. Obviously, like I do stuff with the British Para-Swimming, but I would say Scottish Women have probably been the most proactive of just switching the light to somewhere else to then be more proactive to actually just keep us activated and focused. So I would have to say credit to Scottish Women.
Well done. Good boy. Ali will be delighted that you said that. We'll come on to we'll come on to stuff that Ali may be happier about a wee bit later on. But for now, let's turn our attention just a little bit forward to what's going to happen next year, with the Paralympics being postponed this year, and obviously next season's pretty much looking like this one as we sort of shift everything forwards 12 months. What are your thoughts, and I'm guessing it's the same as they are this year, but what are your thoughts about going into Tokyo? And I know you're going to talk about qualification, and we totally understand that that's the first priority is to make the team, but just in general terms about Japan, about Tokyo, the excitement of that particular event.
Yeah, it was a bit strange, because obviously a couple of weeks back we had our meeting with British Para-Swimming, and then we basically just got told that everything 2019-2020 season's over. So that was a kind of like kick in the teeth, and you could sense everyone felt down about that. Bit weird how it's going to be. Next year's going to be 2020 Olympics and Paralympic Games, but we're in 2021, which is quite bizarre. But now I've just kind of focused on just making sure that the first priority is to get back into the water and not think about race strategy and not think about the intensity of training, what it will be. The first strategy is just to get back in the water and try and execute the technical part of the strokes. So that will be my first priority. Obviously, we've just been given briefly dates, so that trials will be in April next year. Mm-hmm. So if we can get back in the water as soon as possible, then I think a lot of the para guys as well will have that mindset to be like, right, I've got a target to get back to my full fitness and get my mindset focused again on trials. But at the moment, you can't really put any pressure on yourself.
As we are talking today, and I know the webcast will go out at a different time once it's been edited up and identified and so on at the start and end. We're in a very, very rapidly changing world, and the UK government's announcing things about when sport can get back and when people can get to play games and train and so on. So we're hopeful that that'll happen sooner rather than later. But it seems to me that we've had a long break between a short season and a really long season. And I think for someone like you, who we mentioned and sort of laughed at before, you work hard, and that's one of your most admirable characteristics, is just thinking about how to pace yourself over the 14, 15 months between when we maybe get back into the water and when the Paralympics will be. So have you had any thoughts and chats with Kostas about just how you might break that up? Oh, and as luck would have it, the technology is letting us down. So this will be something that you can edit out, Kirsten and Lewis. Scott's probably going to have to dial back in. Let me pause this. Oh, there he is.
I'm back. I lost you a wee bit. Yeah.
I was saying, are you thinking about just taking that steadily through the big maybe 14, 15 month season towards the Paralympics?
Yeah. Obviously, the first thing what really crept in, popped into my head is that kind of like, obviously that 4-year cycle from 2016 to now. So it does feel extended to a 5th year.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I'd probably say on the negative side has been thinking about is, and I had a chat with Chris Ferber, the performance director, just asking him questions about like, what do I do from here on now? Do I stick out what I've been doing for another year? Because if Paralympics was going to go ahead still now, that would have been my next topic of subject to ask, right, what's the future going to hold? So obviously I've got a couple of meetings to come up soon, so we're going to try and pull things together and try and get my mindset on track. Do I start a new plan, or do I just grind it out for another year and then move on from there? So I'm not entirely sure what the plan is yet, but I am trying to be a bit more open-minded on it. But if that is the case, then I'll probably just, of course, get back into training with Kostas and just basically really focus into the testing stuff that a lot of Scottish swimming athletes do use, obviously from Jan, and it'll just be interesting to see how the results are and see what like the plan is from, you could say, Jan's point of view.
Yeah, what kind of shape you're in. We'll maybe get into talk a wee bit about longer term a wee bit later on. Let's talk a little bit about your event. Your event being, of course, the 200 butterfly.
200 butterfly, I wish.
Yeah, right, Alan. No, the 100 breaststroke. And occasionally a 200 breaststroke, and occasionally a 200 IM, but mainly 100 breaststroke at the international level. What are some of the things that, I guess, thinking back to your time with Gilly, with Chris Gilchrist, through with him and with Laurel and now with Kostas, let's take us back a few years to probably the preparation for Rio, and what were the things that you've been working on through that cycle and a half, if you like, that have got you to the point of where you're not just somebody who's a promising prospect, you're actually somebody who's a regular medalist at the international level. Take us back 5 or 6 years, if you will.
So I think the first part of being like having an ex-athlete coaching you was, I think the first protocol was for me was like how to actually race 100 breaststroke. So I used to have that mindset of thinking like, oh, I'll just dive in, spin my arms round in circles as fast as possible for not being the biggest guy when I'm up racing against the big boys. And then then I'd probably say Chris Moore kind of put a plan together, and you could all say like cue cards or something like that, or if it is buzzwords, and used to give me like wee sequence to think, right, I want you to swim fast, but I don't want you like over rev it. So here's the wee cue cards and buzzwords to help you mentally try and focus on that. Because for an S14 with the learning side, the hardest part is actually obviously the day-to-day training, counting your lengths, but when it comes to a competition, is what did the coach say to me, the last thing saying to me when I go into the call-up room, and that's domestic meets and international meets. So I think that's where the positive thing Chris really flipped around, of making sure that whatever he's written down on the plan, and I've spoken to him and kind of bought into the method to use in training, then we used to execute that, and then we would bring it to like then domestic meets, and then when we go to international meets, we knew what my race strategy was.
Yeah.
And that really helped.
Sorry, we had a session from Dave McNulty, who was Chris's coach down at Bath University, and he spoke really highly of Chris's communication skills, his ability to hold the squad together and hold them to account and so on. And he said, although he had no reason to say it in relation to this conversation, but he said that he knew that Chris could be a really good coach if he wanted to do that whenever he stopped swimming. And of course, he's gone out with his new family in Singapore, and he's done a webinar for one of our friends, Matt Trodden, just a week or so ago. So it was great to have him back contributing to Scottish swimming. But I think you just described there in some ways how Chris got what it was that you needed, how he simplified the messages that you needed. And using your own words, those were the things that you remembered as the last instructions, if you like, that you got, last coaching points you got before you went into competition. And you still think about those things now?
Yeah, very much so. You probably could admit, like, having the learning side is the hardest part for, like, probably with my disability is changing that routine. You could say it's like OCD. So the hardest part for me for 2 seasons was, as soon as he left, I kept doing the same routine, what took a very long time to build into my head and feel comfortable with, and then to then try and flip that to another coach to be like, oh, right, we're doing this method now, was very, you could probably say like lack of confidence in my point of view. But even to this very day, like I still, like today, I still speak to Chris, I still ask him for advice. One thing I'd probably say I really miss about Chris is his kind of character and like sense of humour a wee bit. When we're in training, he would have a sing song, and sometimes I would just like jump in and sing along with him. Vice versa. To be honest, we would be singing a bit more older songs like that. You could be sitting like singing like when we're preparing for Rio in 2016. You could be sitting maybe for me singing a bit of Roy Orbison, "Only the Lonely," and then Chris could probably be shouting it out the other end of the pool. And I do miss that. I've always said I'd love to get coached by Chris again, because I felt after Rio that the penny kind of dropped even more on my head. And when I was out in Singapore back in 2019, I said that to him. I says, if you were coaching me now, you would see a massive difference how much I am learning and trying new things. And it's probably took me that length of time that you could almost say I had to take gambles as well myself, rather than in the past maybe, well, Chris is there, he's wrote the plan out, we know what the plan is, I can rely on Chris. So but obviously flipping now to Costas, been with Costas for 4 seasons now. Costas will probably admit that, and I agree that I'm a challenge. Didn't want to change anything, but until obviously 2018, 2019 season, we started to get more of a better performance and better results. And
what kind of technical things have you worked on with Costas? I mean, I know the answer to some of that, but for people who don't know you and the things that you've worked on, and I think what you're about to say will be true of all breaststrokers, what sort of things have you and Costas really worked on?
The main thing was with working with Costas has been working on the first 50.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of me having a stroke count of 20, 24 strokes or 20, 25 strokes in the first 50, Costas is really kind of, you could probably say it came across quite, it was more like it had to come across aggressive towards me to like get the penalty drop in my head, that he would say, right, you can't go out and race in the first 50 with 24 strokes. You need to bring that down. So that's been like from 24 to 26 strokes. So now we brought it down to 21, 22 strokes.
Mm-hmm.
And the key elements of that has been it wasn't like the fact, right, we dive in, we swim the first 50. He had to actually break it down from like to diving into the pool to do 15 meters to 25 meters, and then 25 meters to 35. Yep. So then I'd be like, right, I take 2 strokes to 15 meters, maybe 1.5. Then I take 7 strokes to 25, and then I'll take maybe 13 strokes, 14 strokes to 35, and then the last 15 is 15 meters. Is I'm always executing it between 21 and 22 strokes. I know there's times that it'll change, but that was the main part. And I probably could say as a highlight of doing that was swimming a 200 breaststroke at Edinburgh Internationals last year, sorry. And Costa was like, I want you to take about 19 strokes on the first 50. Counted my strokes the first 50, and I was so excited because I took 16 strokes, and I was like, oh, I've took 16 strokes, and I was like, oh wait, you've still got 150 meters to go, son. Like, don't get carried away now. And I'll probably say that's the best execution of a race I've probably done. Obviously, it was 200 breaststroke, but I'd probably say even like it's probably, for me, it was better than my 100 breaststroke.
Yeah, and I think it's a great lesson for younger swimmers to think about stroke counting and breaststroke, because part of that is about conserving energy. And what you people should realise is that you weren't going any slower to take those fewer strokes. You were going out on exactly the right time. You were conserving energy by taking those fewer strokes, so that you can then come back strongly on that second 50. And you swam pretty well last season, right?
Yeah, I think for the last, like, the first 8 months of the season, I was like hitting personal best times at domestic meets as well, and being consistent with things, short course and long course. And
world short course record at one point.
Yes, but it never got ratified.
But, it didn't get ratified, but it was we know that it was the fastest short course time to that point ever. So
yeah, and I think that's the positive thing we can take from that is we could revert back to the time when we went to Tenerife in 2017 we went to Tenerife.
Yeah.
And I had yourself and I had Ali help doing like a one. It was yourself what gave me a 1-to-1 session, and even you giving me a set, I could sense the way you were explaining things to me as an athlete. Oh, you're doing this, but then you're kind of buckling a wee bit on some part in your stroke. And I think that's as well, like, I took that on board by, right, I need to like really kind of switch on where am I buckling a wee bit, or kind of, you could say, switching off or losing concentration a bit. And that was a learning curve as well.
Sure, and it's good to hear that you're always open to because you must have had a lot of different coaches over the years who worked with you on training camps. You mentioned the Warrender coaches, national team, British Para. My goodness, you're collecting coaches like tokens at the
collecting badges. Exactly. It's almost like the old football stickers collection.
Well, funnily enough that you should mention football, Scott. Those people who are watching who do know you, know that you're a big fan of Hearts. I'm sorry, Hibs Football Club. That's twice I've got that wrong, right?
Yeah.
And there is quite a lot of rivalry in Scottish swimming, particularly in the guys in the east, between the two Edinburgh clubs. There's certainly enough lot of banter amongst the coaches and people like yourself and Ali, Lindsay and Gordon Glasgow and so on. Now, what are your thoughts on the current plight of the Edinburgh clubs in Scottish football?
um,
Don't laugh too hard.
obviously, I do my gym sessions out at Herriot University, so
Yeah.
I see the Hearts boys. So you could always get the vibe of this the season that they've had a bit of a struggle. You got the vibe of that it wasn't working for them. So, and as a Hibs fan, you're always like, oh yes, get in there. You're struggling. But with the circumstance right now, for me, I feel if we're not going to get games played, then obviously for me, I've got Hibs fans what have been saying, oh, it'll be good to get Hearts to go down, Hearts to go down. But for me, I'd rather see it done fairly. And if that was the case, then I think it would have been always a good solution to either just cancel the season and say that, like, obviously Celtic don't win the league title and Hearts and say Hamilton don't get relegated, and then we'll just start again. I'd rather them, if they get relegated, they get relegated the professional way, not like, oh, it's been done with a vote of Celtic are getting the league title, so Hearts need to get relegated. So
Well, you did very diplomatically there amongst the Hearts and Hibs fans, but didn't do so well with the Old Firm fans. So let's just leave it. Leave it at that.
we'll leave it there.
Yourself into hot water. Good. That was a nice wee segue into that. And you mentioned this earlier on, and it's obviously something that you can't have any decisions about until even Tokyo has taken place. So rather than thinking about where or what you might do in terms of training, have you thought about continuing on? Have you got other plans beyond the Paris cycle? The Tokyo cycle towards Paris?
For me, I really want to carry on for at least another 3 years after that. Obviously, we always get this. I've always been told that as a swimmer that you have to leave everything in the water, like literally put your body on the line with it, and then I want to like leave the sport on that kind of manner. It's like that kind of like, right, my body's given up. It's at a breaking point. Now it's me and probably the support staff to then say, right, you can't go any more in this sport. You've left everything in the water as coaches want you to do in training day in, day out. Obviously, like, you think about future. Like, for me, it's like I've got a niece and nephew. I've not seen them in 8 to 9 weeks. So just like other people out there who have not seen their grandkids or family relatives. So
yeah.
There's kind of the things, like small things like that pop in your head, and then you say to yourself, oh, would I like to have a family of myself? Obviously, I made a joke to you about a wee comment I said, but I don't think it would be the best to comment.
That's a family audience. You're not allowed to say that. But if Doc Roberts is watching this, she will have a wry smile to herself, and she'll be delighted that you didn't say what you said to us.
Exactly.
So basically, to say it's a Quinnyism. So we might get 1 or 2 of them in before the end.
Here's hoping. But also, I want to kind of, for me, I want to give something back as well to Scottish swimming and Sport Scotland. I'd like to get involved in the coaching as well. Still be a full-time athlete. Being funded by UK Sport. Always grateful to be on funding and British programme. But I want to kind of as well still be that full-time athlete, but then start to get like the coaching experience in myself and help to develop the new generation of swimmers.
Good. Delighted to hear that. And thought about maybe 1 or 2 funny wee things that we could ask you about on the way out. We talked about all of your achievements on the way in and who's coached you and where you swim and and so on. So a couple of nice easy ones just to get you going, and then we'll get into the really tough ones towards the end. So what's your favourite place that you've ever visited on a swimming trip, and why?
I've still got to say I'd have to say Perth, Australia.
I knew you were going to say that.
To this very day, I still bang on about what I learned out in Australia in 2016, and also the kind of Scottish swimming and like all the swimmers what were out there, and coaches for like some were out there only for 3 weeks. Me, Craig McNally, Laurel and Kerry Ann were fortunate enough to get to spend a month out there. So for me, it was like completely out of my comfort zone. I was like so happy to be out there, but I was like, on the flip side of that, I was actually quite sad to be leaving. I didn't want to leave the camp because there was a good culture on that camp, and even when you think about it, we had barbecues on like you could say our Sunday roast. We would have a barbecue on a Sunday, and then all the lads would go and play football.
Yeah, it was. Well, there was a pretty famous football match that only just about got a bit too serious. It was lovely.
Yeah.
It was a very Australian thing to do, to sort of go for a Sunday afternoon barbecue and take our stuff and just cook it on the grill as they do in a public park. It was fantastic. I was pretty confident you would say something like that. And those boxer shorts, Scott, tell us all about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. They've been like a kind of, I don't know what it is. I kind of get to the stage, you know how like when people are like doing things behind the block and everything like that, and then it gets a bit repetitive, and you see people doing like copying other people. Well, I had these boxers, what are now lucky, and I had them on when I first qualified for my first international. Well, hit my first international qualification time, and I don't know what it is, but I've always had that in my head. Like they'll always be there when I go to competitions, and just I've always just done it since. Funny story. Yeah, funny story about that. We raced in Belfast at a domestic meet at the David. Is it the David McCulloch?
Yes, David McCulloch. Yeah, in Bangor. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was in a heat swim and I had my lucky boxers on, and there was a boy in the lane next to me, tapped me on my shoulder saying, "You forgot to take your boxers off." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh, you've got your boxers on," and completely put him off his race. Completely put him off the race because he was too worried about my boxers. It's like, "Oh, you can't race in them."
Well, please put everybody's mind at rest, and you do wash them between meets, yeah?
No, like I don't wash them between meets. I might wash them after, like, as the season ends, just freshen them
once
up.
a year, right? Good.
Once a year.
Once a year. That keep the soap powder manufacturers happy, Scott. Well done.
Exactly.
Right, the most important questions of all. Square sausage or link sausage?
Square sausage.
Good man. See, good man. Reading my mind. Red sauce or brown sauce?
It'll have to be it'd have to be red sauce, but brown sauce from the chippy.
Excellent. Star Wars or Avengers?
Avengers.
Good. Oh, 2 out of 3 is not bad, Scott. 2 out of 3 is not bad. Listen, I have completely lost track of time, and we had a wee technological problem in the middle, which may or may not be edited out. But in any case, Scott, it's a real pleasure to be chatting to you as always. You're as happy and smiling and positive as you always are. And I wish you all the best through the rest of the lockdown, as I'm sure everybody in Scottish swimming does. Keep yourself well, keep your family safe and well, and don't be going crazy on those big long bike rides. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me, Alan.
Not at all. Look forward to seeing you in a swimming pool like this in the very near future, Scott.
Thank you. Cheers for that.
Thank you. Cheers.